Have you ever been enthralled by Emmylou Harris's unadulterated beauty on stage or affected by the soft melody of the song Boulder to Birmingham? Few people are aware, though, that beneath that glamorous exterior are three failed marriages, a profound sense of loneliness, and a love life that is like a closed box that no one has been able to open. What caused a woman whose voice shook the whole country music industry to feel so alone in her personal life? Is it possible that she let go of her repressed feelings, secrets, and desires through music? You'll be surprised by Emmylou Harris's intimate pictures and unspoken details about her romantic life. The most exciting portion is still ahead, so keep your eyes on the screen and pay attention. Many followers started looking for hints in her personal life after her third divorce. People soon began to realize why the Queen of Country Music lived alone in her final years as the pieces gradually came together. However, she didn't appear to have any regrets. She once discussed the song Lonely Girl in a meaningful discussion with seasoned journalist Dan Rather, jokingly characterizing it as a personal advertisement set to music. It was a kind, self-aware perspective from a lady who knew her place in the realm of love, not a lament. She was 64 years old when the song was written. At that age, she was looking for love with the serene perspective of someone who has loved, lost, and learned how to get back up after every heartache, rather than with the hurry of youth. However, Emmylou Harris was a completely different person when she was younger. These were the guys who went through her life, and she was once regarded as one of the most alluring women in music. Emmylou made the audacious decision to pursue music as a college student who never finished her degree, motivated more by impulse than by security. She met her first husband, musician Tom Slocum, while roaming around Greenwich Village's tiny stages and smoky coffee shops. Before they fell in love, music brought them together. They became closer through acoustic concerts and late-night discussions about chords and lyrics. They got married a few months later, thinking that their mutual love would be sufficient to support a household. Emmylou Harris recorded her first album, Gliding Bird, in 1969. The initiative was motivated more by aspiration than by experience. She and her husband thought Nashville was waiting for them, and they wrote the tunes. However, an artistic existence is rarely a straight line. The young couple was left with unpaid expenses and unfulfilled expectations when the modest record business that released the album quickly went bankrupt. Determined to start afresh, they relocated to Nashville, but silent disappointment and financial strain eventually caused them to drift apart. Emmylou was left alone in the music metropolis she had once thought was the promised land after the marriage ended as abruptly as it had started. Her life descended into a challenging spiral following the divorce. In order to pay the rent during the day, she accepted any job she could find, such as working as a receptionist or waiting tables. She performed at night in tiny venues where her voice was occasionally muffled by the sound of glasses clinking. She occasionally needed to rely on food stamps and health care. The harsh reality of a single lady attempting to survive clashed with the pride of an artist. Financially and emotionally spent, she eventually made her way back to her parents' suburban Maryland home with her guitar and the burdensome sense that she had come a long way without making any progress. Emmylou nearly thought that her singing career had finished before it had really started back then. According to her own words, she was almost positive that she would never become a well-known vocalist. "I had almost completely given up on music," she said afterwards. But when she met the second man in her life, everything was different. Emmylou Harris joyfully sang the beloved country song, "It Wasn't God Who Made Honky Tonk Angels" at the cellar door one evening in 1971. She didn't know anything about country music at the time, but that performance completely transformed her perspective. She was unaware that a man from the Flying Burrito Brothers was in the audience that evening and was paying close attention. Graham Parsons was looking for a harmony singer for his solo career at the moment. However, it's possible that he was secretly searching for a soulmate through music. He managed to get in touch with the young woman who had piqued his interest the very next day, when the formal invitation, a plane ticket to Los Angeles, arrived a year later. Emmylou entered the studio to sing harmonies for his first solo album, GP. For Emmylou, it was the realization that she had discovered her genuine musical home, even though it was neither a glamorous enterprise nor an economic success. The two merged their voices on stage, seeming as though they had been performing together for years. Emmylou's pure, soaring tone blended with Parsons' warm, slightly gruff, experience-filled voice to create a sound that was both delicate and potent. The audience saw a dialogue through melody, not just music. They traveled the nation on the 1973 tours, and each stop seemed to strengthen their bond. Many assumed their relationship extended beyond the stage, and rumors started to circulate. Graham stayed away from the subject, and Emmylou was too timid to say anything. The public, however, did not think it was solely professional. Having recently gone through a difficult divorce and dealing with a challenging career, Emmylou was at her most vulnerable when she met Graham. Many thought that behind the scenes, the enchantment they produced on stage might have evolved into something more significant. Maybe only Emmylou was aware of the whole truth. The flame abruptly extinguished after that. Graham Parsons overdosed on drugs and alcohol at a hotel close to Joshua Tree National Park in 1973. Emmylou Harris was devastated by the news. Not only did she lose her most significant musical companion, but she also lost a piece of herself. Their eerie duets were included on the album Grievous Angel, which was released following his passing. Later on, the recordings came to light like sleepless nights, like letters from the past that were sent too late. Every listen caused Emmylou more pain, but it also served as a reminder that she needed to keep going in the direction Parsons had shown her. She once stated that music, a type of country rock that struck a balance between tradition and freedom, was the legacy Dad left her rather than personal recollections, and she made the decision to never go back. Emmylou became well known as an independent performer after starting her own band, but the shadow of the mentor she had lost lingered in every note she sang. Soon after, a different man, quieter but more reliable, entered her life. Originally just partners, Canadian producer Brian Ahern, renowned for his successful work with Anne Murray, made Emmylou feel safe in a way she had never felt before, because to his methodical approach, patience, attentiveness, and unwavering willingness to listen, he didn't force or compel. He made room for her to develop emotionally at her own speed. That was worth more to Emmylou than any romantic pledge. Like a soft tune underneath the lead singer, love came organically. They started dating right away and got married in 1977. Ahern produced several of her later albums, starting with Pieces of the Sky, reaching number 7 on the Billboard Country LP chart and number 45 on the Billboard 200. The album was a commercial success. If I Could Only Win Your Love, the song's second single, reached number 4 on the Billboard Country Songs list. Elite Hotel, the power couple's second studio album, was an even bigger accomplishment that capitalized on that momentum. It cracked the top 25 of the Billboard 200 and became her first album to top the Billboard Country chart. Emmylou won a Grammy Award for Best Female Country Vocal Performance for Elite Hotel. Emmylou Harris was compelled to cut down her career after the couple delivered their first baby in 1979. Cracks started to show up during this time. She was almost completely worn out by the new duties that came with having a small child. There was a lot of strain to juggle a developing profession with being a wife and mother. The marriage had broken down by 1983. Emmylou relocated to Nashville after their divorce was finalized in 1984. One of her lowest charting albums on the U.S. country charts, White Shoes 1983, was their last joint effort as husband and wife. Because they respected each other's abilities, the two musicians kept up a working relationship despite their difficult split. Over the years, they worked together on a number of projects, but listeners frequently thought that nothing could compare to the genuineness of the music they produced as a married couple. A few months following her split with Brian Ahern, Emmylou started collaborating with Paul Kennerly, a new producer. She didn't seem to have learned her lesson yet. She fell in love with her producer once more, and this time she married him right away. Just 1 year after her prior divorce, they were married in 1985. They co-wrote the Warner Brothers Records record The Ballad of Sally Rose that same year. Her time with Graham Parsons served as a loose inspiration for the project. Due to poor sales, the project was viewed as a commercial failure even though it made it to the top 10 on the US country charts. Unfortunately, her marriage was the next setback. Her longest-lasting marriage ended in divorce in 1993. Emmylou never got married again after that because she was determined to protect her heart more. She is a proud mother and grandmother who lives comfortably in her Nashville home at the age of 77. Her career has followed a stable and consistent artistic course over decades, despite a troubled love life, a route that subtly changed how modern rock and country music sounded. Emmylou Harris made the decision to turn away from commercialization at a time when Nashville was under intense pressure to do so. She didn't pursue glamorous photos or easy hits. Rather, she continued to be committed to traditional music, skillfully fusing rock, folk, and old country music. Rural country audiences and urban rock listeners were connected by this combination. Fans of electric guitars and fiddlers could stand in the same room and listen to the same song thanks to her music. It was referred to by critics as cosmic American music, a fluid, unrestricted style of American sound. Not only did Harris uphold that spirit, but she enhanced it and made it her signature. She demonstrated that country music could maintain its dignity, emotional nuance, and intelligence without sacrificing these qualities for commercial success. She was a major factor in the distinctive coolness of country music. Simply based on creative integrity, it is neither noisy nor ostentatious. When the neo-traditional country movement started to gain traction in the 1980s and 1990s, her influence grew the most. Many younger musicians went back to creating music with unadulterated, emotionally charged sounds, just like Harris had done decades before. She has been publicly praised by musicians such as Casey Musgraves, Trisha Yearwood, and Miranda Lambert. For them, Harris is more than just a musical hero. He is an example of artistic autonomy, someone who made the difficult but honest decision to pursue. Her influence extends beyond country music. Folk, Americana, and rock musicians like Ryan Adams and Wilco have admitted that they have learned from her narrative style, which is delicate, nuanced, and profound. She never required ostentatious verbal methods. A single breath or a well-placed sentence can convey hope, loneliness, or grief. Harris has received uncommon appreciation from critics. She has been said to as one of the most respected voices in American music. one of the best song interpreters, and particularly someone who can express sadness in a way that few musicians can. When Rolling Stone named her one of the best singers of all time in 2023, one of the most notable comments was about her harmonies rather than her solo vocals. One may argue that she has been America's best harmony vocalist for the past 50 years, a recognition that is both modest and enormous. Numerous important honors have also been a part of her artistic journey. From her entrance into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2008, which acknowledged her fundamental contributions to the genre, to the Billboard Century Award in 1999, which honored an incredible continued career. Additionally, Berklee College of Music awarded her an honorary doctorate, confirming her worth well beyond financial success. Harris was recognized as a worldwide important musician in 2015 with the Polar Music Prize, and her lifetime commitment was recognized in 2018 with the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. The memorial performances, where performers from many eras play her songs, are possibly even more poignant. Harris' legacy isn't kept on a shelf there. Every new voice carries it forward. Ultimately, Emmylou Harris's greatest legacy is not her accolades or titles. She designed this route for artists who wish to remain loyal to their passions. She is an example of how sincerity, emotional depth in music, and respect for tradition can make a lasting impression that transcends trends in an ever-evolving industry.